is going on, everyone? Welcome back into the SeaWolves City Podcast. My name is Evan Giddings, broadcast assistant with your Erie SeaWolves, AA affiliate of the Detroit Tigers, and we are happy to have you joining us for Episode 9. Coming to you as a little pre-All-Star break gift to hang on to while your Wolves enjoy a much-appreciated 3-day break before beginning the post-break on Thursday, July 11th, with a 4-game set against the Altoona Curve, 3 games after that against the Akron Rubber Ducks, all at UPMC Park. Myself, along with your voice of the SeaWolves and assistant general manager Greg Gagne, are proud to be keeping these episodes coming to you all season long from Game 1 through 140, getting these to you now once a week. So if you have any suggestions on players, topics, or general conversations you'd like to hear, we are all ears. Feel free to rate, subscribe, review, comment on the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, virtually every multimedia podcasting platform that you can think of. We are there. Also, please go check out the SeaWolves on all of our social media sites, at Erie SeaWolves on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and also check out our website, SeaWolves.com, to find great deals on tickets, group outings, and spectacular promotions coming your way at UPMC Park. Beginning on July 3rd, we have our Bark in the Park night, where fans can bring their well-behaved leash dogs to the game, presented by PNC Bank. It's also a Throwback Thursday and Yingling Happy Hour. Then on Friday, the first 1,000 fans to UPMC Park will receive an Angels-era replica home jersey worn during the 1999-2000 seasons, featuring a red and navy blue script with block numbers, presented by UPMC Health Plan to the first 1,000 fans. Also, we have our Superstars appearance, which is a unique show which features hilarious inflatable characters with clever names such as Harry Canary, Tommy the Swordfish, Clammy Sosa, Shark McGuire, and maybe even a few current SeaWolves that are going to have their names all superstarred up. And then, of course, later on Saturday, Zambelli Fireworks, brought to you by Priest Heating and Cooling, a Kids Cruise Sunday, Family Fun Sunday, Buck Night on Monday, Kids Eat Free and 2 Buck Tuesdays, and a Summer Camp Day with the Senior Expo and AAA member on Wednesday. So lots of great stuff upcoming during the next homestand at UPMC Park, again from July 11th through the 17th. Here at UPMC Park. You can follow myself on Twitter at eGiddings10. You can find Greg Gagne at Greg_Gagne. And of course, listen in all season long to your SeaWolves on Fox Sports Radio AM 1330 The Fan, the TuneIn app, and of course, watch on MILB.TV. As always, we jump into our SeaWolves of the Roundtable with Greg, myself, along with SeaWolves beat writer and Erie Times Now sports extraordinaire Tom Reisenweber, to break down the 13-2 start to Erie's second half. Has not happened. 13 wins in 15 games since the 2004 season, and it happened to begin the second half. Erie currently sitting atop the Western Division. 3 straight walk-off wins to cap off a 6-1 homestand. A bit of a hectic but spectacular 7-game homestand, as we also get into some All-Star talk. We talk about and give our predictions about some player call-ups in the near future, and the improvements and heroes of the first 15 games in the second half, plus much more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Episode 9 of the SeaWolves City Podcast.
Welcome on in to Episode 9 of the SeaWolves City Podcast. Greg Gagne, Evan Giddings, my broadcast partner, and Tom Reisenweber, the SeaWolves beat writer for GoErie.com and the Erie Times News. Gentlemen, wrapped up a 7-game homestand here at UPMC Park. The SeaWolves taking 3 of 4 from the Harrisburg Senators. And then how about the series against the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, as we are filming this after the 3rd consecutive walk-off win. Derek Hill, as Erie was down to its final strike on July 3rd in front of a record crowd at UPMC Park, 7,045 fans, beating last year's total of 7,020. The Wolves looked dead in the water, and then all of a sudden, Derek Hill turns on one, crushed it.
Yeah, he mentioned in the postgame that Binghamton had been throwing him sliders all series, and I think they kind of dared him a little too much because he crushed a 1-2 slider off Erie Insurance Arena. And I think it was last year at this same time, Jake Rogers walk-off in front of the second biggest crowd ever.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's
so,
correct.
July 3rd is definitely the SeaWolves day. 13-2 over the last 15. That hasn't happened since 2004. 3 straight walk-offs for the first time since 2016. This team is just red hot, and something special going on right now.
I mean, we were talking about it during the broadcast of how speechless we were after that walk-off home run. Neither of us felt that type of moment coming, and Derek Hill absolutely captured it, and with one swing of the bat, erupted a capacity sellout crowd of 7,045. It was a momentous night and capped off, as you talked about, a series which really demonstrated the type of resiliency that this group has. In every single game in that 3-game series against Binghamton, they could have folded. In Game 1, they went behind 4-3. Isaac Paredes ended up hitting a game-tying home run in the 8th inning. They go on to win it in 9-5-4. The game after, Binghamton comes back from falling behind. They tie it. Erie goes ahead, and Derek Hill delivers the walk-off single to right field in Game 2. And then finally, Binghamton goes ahead against Erie All-Star Drew Carlton, gets the go-ahead run in the top of the 10th inning. And as you said, down to their final strike, Derek Hill, that may be the furthest ball that I've seen hit so far this season. There's about 5 people standing on top of the Erie Insurance Arena waiting for the fireworks to get lit off, and I think he hit it over them. That was how far that ball was hit, and for a fireworks display that ended after the game, I think we saw the biggest one on the last pitch.
I did not see where that ball landed. I have not listened to our call yet after the game. I know I looked.
I don't think it's landed.
I don't think it's landed. Yeah.
I mean, I lost the ball. I just was watching the left fielder, and I knew it was gone as the crowd just went wild. I mean, that sends chills up your spine when you see something like that happen. And look, guys, this Erie team right now is red hot. We talked about it, and I think, Evan, you actually said it on the podcast, and we were talking about it before the broadcast today. You know, at some point, this team's going to rattle off 13 out of 15. And sure enough, that's how they've started the second half. And with Bowie losing earlier tonight, they head into the 4-game series with Altoona, and really it's an 8-game series with the Curve, with a 2-game cushion in the West and off to a unbelievable start.
And really, it's a 3-game cushion because they had the tiebreaker with Bowie. But I asked Mike Rebello after the game on Wednesday what's been key in this 13-2 run, and he said that they've always had defense, they've always had pitching this year, but the timely hitting has really come around during the second half so far, and it's just incredible to watch that. You really, it's exciting. You can't really have a high blood pressure watching this team. It's 32 one-run games. That's almost half their games now decided by 1 run. And the record for the franchise is 47. They could double that. It's just amazing how crazy this has been this last 3 weeks.
And the team that started 7-16 in 1-run games, and that's what now, 8 in a row that they've won?
I believe 7.
Something like that,
Yeah.
It was in the game notes that I read earlier today that Evan so properly procured that stat. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, that was the 8th straight by 1 run that the SeaWolves have won. And those are the games they weren't winning early in the season. They were just unable to come up with those timely hits. And Mike Rebello was joking around with me after the game, and he goes, "Oh, did you think I was supposed to bunt?" And I said, "Well, Skip, I knew pitching was thin. Evan and I actually talked about it in the break, and Evan looked and he goes, look, there's not many arms down there. If this thing continues on past the 10th, past the 11th, past the 12th, then you're in a situation where you could, in fact, run out of arms. Trent Skutnik threw 40 pitches 2 days prior. Nolan Blackwood, really one of the only guys left in that bullpen that they could have used. You're a man down with Spencer Watkins going to Toledo. So sometimes you play it that way, and it doesn't work, and then on a night like on July 3rd, it just happened to work. And it's good to see Derek Hill, who we thought when we saw in Binghamton, when he got hit by that fastball, when he turned around to lay a bunt down, he got hit in the wrist with a fastball. It looked like it could potentially have been a season-ending injury at the time. I mean, with the way that ball hit him and squared him up in the wrist, luckily, x-rays were negative, back in the lineup 4 days later, and sure enough, he delivers back-to-back walk-off wins. And look, it doesn't get any better than 3 straight walk-offs.
Well, and Derek Hill has actually dodged a couple of bullets this season, not only the wrist injury, but also earlier in the season in a homestand in May, I believe it was, collided in right center with Jose Azocar, and that was a play in which we thought he went down, had to be helped to the locker room, wasn't exactly sure what the diagnosis of that injury was going to be. Turned out to be abdominal contusion, but looked a lot worse on the field, similar to that wrist injury. He bounced back after a couple days, as he has done with this wrist injury. But to your point about Spencer Watkins being called up to AAA, I think that presented a big opportunity for Logan Shore, a guy who had been moved to the bullpen after struggling a bit in his last few starts. He came out through 2 scoreless against Harrisburg in the first 4 series of the 7-game homestand. And then tonight was really just thrust into the starting rotation. Ended up going 6 2/3 innings. His best start of the season, I think we can all agree on that. Even though he struck out 1, he did not walk any, which is something that he's really struggled with so far this year. And he only allowed 5 base hits. And pretty much all of them came with 2 outs. So he was dominant from the start. He only threw 88 pitches to get through those 6 2/3, a season high for him. So I think he's the unsung hero of this game, even though Derek Hill is the hero we will remember.
Yeah, and I think just to the point, Mike Rebello was almost waiting for us to ask, why didn't you bunt? And he told us right away, listen, we were thin. We had maybe Noah Blackwood, maybe Trent Skutnik, but we were going to win or lose in that inning. And to the point about Derek Hill, just the game, he injures his wrist, and he's still laying out for things, and these diving catches in the outfield. He could easily roll his wrist on those plays and be done. He also went screaming into the bullpen, where there's a brick wall out there trying to make a catch. So it's incredible to watch the hustle on this team with Cam Gibson and Derek Hill, and all these guys in the outfield are just going after everything. This team is really playing well right now.
Yeah, you brought up the catch by Hill earlier in the ball game. I mean, that was an incredible play, charging in on a ball. And look, he's been doing that all season long. And if they can get the bat going, and I'm going to bring up something that we said back in April. We said it on the broadcast. We said it on the podcast. The key for Derek Hill is going to be staying healthy. And he has flirted with disaster several times this season. I mean, remember the game in Altoona, Evan, where he crashed into the wall. He had the abdominal contusion after he collided with Jose Azocar here at UPMC Park. It took the fastball off the wrist. I mean, it's almost like the stars are finally aligning for Derek, and hopefully all those injuries are behind him because, look, with a glove like he's got, that plays in the big leagues, and he's got to cut down on the strikeouts. There's no question about that. But, again, that glove is something that's pretty special, and now that the bat is seemingly coming around, 2 extra base hits tonight, he actually walked once in the ball game as well, and that's something that he has not done a whole lot of this season. It was only his 13th free pass. So out of that leadoff spot, you would anticipate more walks out of there, but that hasn't been his forte this season. But, yeah, Derek Hill, I think the key was, number one, stay healthy, and number two is going to be cutting down on the strikeouts.
Yeah, and I don't know if his future is in the leadoff spot if he moves up, but he's so aggressive. It's fun to watch. He sets the tone. I think he has 6 or 7 home runs in the first inning out of the leadoff spot, and we obviously see the power all the time, and he's got so much of it that he can unleash. So it's really nice to see him coming together. Even and he mentioned he's a great teammate down there. He saw the shaving cream pie coming and just let it happen after the walk-off. But he mentioned it was great feeling for him to come through for his team because they have picked him up over the last couple of weeks here. So he's really aware of how to control that clubhouse, the pulse of the clubhouse, and he's just a great teammate.
And I think the common theme in this series and really the entirety of the second half has been everyone in a clutch spot when they need to come through, whether it be on the mound, starters, relievers, hitters, they have done it. And I don't know if it's an ascension to the mean because it seemed like in the first half, I think they hit something below 200 with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. The bullpen couldn't seem to find any consistency in close games. But now, every time you go out there, and we joked about this earlier in the year that we didn't necessarily feel good, even with Erie with a close lead late in games. But now, no matter how far they fall behind, no matter how far they are ahead, or even in a close game in the late innings, you just feel good about this team. And I think that they're starting to catch fire. I mean, every time someone steps to the bat, at bat with a run in scoring position with 2 outs, you just feel like they're going to come through. You feel like a guy's going to make a play. I mean, in the outfield tonight, Luke Birch, a guy who's on probably the hottest hitter on the team right now, a 12-game hitting streak, season long by any Erie Seawolf, goes out and makes a play out in left center field, comes through with a hit. And it's just that type of next man up mentality that this team has to offer. And it seems like no matter who's on the field, no one is complaining about playing time. No one is worried about their role being diminished. Everyone is cheering for one another, and it's clearly contagious. 13 wins in 15 games is nothing to scoff at.
And I think the most impressive thing we last week we talked about the quality starts, but you look at the horses in the Erie rotation. Matt Manning didn't have a great month of June. Casey Mize has been hurt, and as you said, it's the next man up mentality where maybe it's one of those situations where they aren't going to sit back and rely on that golden arm to get them through every night. And it seemingly has worked for this club, and it's an exciting team to watch right now. Look, we don't know how long they're going to be able to keep this up. There's ebbs and flows of the season, but I think the biggest thing for this team was hitting that reset button. They limped to the end of the first half, really struggling, and then all of a sudden something clicked, and something's brewing here in Erie, and we don't know how long some of these guys are going to be here, and that's just the nature of what this business is. But it's exciting to watch, and we should enjoy it as we have been over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and if you said they were going to go 13-2 or 15 games without Casey Mize, I thought you were nuts. But they've been doing it without him. And I think really the starting pitching, not only what they've done is just going deep into games and saving that bullpen. This schedule really should be taxing the bullpen. They've survived it. I think the shortest start over this stretch may be Matt Manning, 4 1/3.
Yep.
These starters have all really put in the work and fought through some struggles at times to make sure the bullpen is not desperate right now, and it's really in a decent place going to these final 4 games before the All-Star break.
And a couple of veteran injections that I want to highlight. Frank Schwindel in the middle of the order has done wonders. He has taken so much pressure off the middle of that order as a guy who is on an opening day roster with the Kansas City Royals, has played in AAA for multiple years, is a veteran in the clubhouse, has a calm presence, isn't a guy that's a rah-rah type of guy in the dugout, but just goes about his business and is a 300 hitter and can give you pop. Tim Adelman, a guy that is coming in the starting rotation, back-to-back starts, both wins, both 7 innings against both quality clubs. That has really helped, I think, supplant the starting rotation. And both of those guys in the clubhouse are just calming presences. Beginning of the year, we talked about how young this group was and how they were beginning to learn. I don't necessarily know if there's a direct correlation between Adelman and Schwindel being in here, but I believe that they go about their business and they do the things the right way, and that has clearly translated down to the younger guys because they see them and what they do, and they want to follow it, and I think it's helped.
Last 8 games for Erie as we record this on Wednesday night, July 3rd, have been decided by 2 runs or fewer. Those were the games they weren't winning at the beginning of the year. Those are the games they are winning right now, and it's an infectious environment down in that clubhouse, and it's just good to see. And we've talked about this all season long. Tom, this is probably, thinking back on it, it's probably the most enjoyable team to be around since that 2013 team that made the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say 2013 is probably the last. And that team, I think, was more talented, this team. That's just because it was so balanced with so much pure talent on there. This team seems to have a little more fight than that team. I think that team, if they had the fight of this year's team, probably could have won that series against Harrisburg and maybe won an EL championship. But this team, it's not the most talented team in the world, but everyone wants to contribute and wants to do something to help them win. In the bullpen, the pitching staff, in the starting lineup, even guys that came off the bench tonight to either pinch hit or run or play defense, everyone wants to do their part, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And I know these next 4 games are important going into the All-Star break. I think when they can come back to keep this going, that's going to be the more important series against Altoona.
You brought up something, too, that I wanted to touch on is the picking each other up. And Cam Gibson had a base-running blunder tonight in the ball game, and it could have decided the ball game. And the SeaWolves found a way to get a win. And they've been able to overcome those mistakes that guys make from time to time. Look, again, at the end of the day, this is still minor league baseball, and this is Double-A. Guys are going to make mistakes. If they didn't make the mistakes that they're making here, they'd be in the big leagues already. So you're going to have mistakes, and it's a matter of minimizing those mistakes to try and find a way to win ball games, and that's what they've done. But I can't remember a stretch that has been this fun to be around than what we've seen over the past 2+ weeks.
And one thing that really sticks out to me, too, is not only are they making the defensive plays look good, they're not making errors. I mean, this team is really good in the field right now, and they're not giving away runs, they're not giving away mistakes and doing things like that. So just playing clean baseball has really been a key for them. And
even when they have committed errors, we saw Cody Eves make a tough error in the Akron series, they found a way to overcome it.
I mean, prime example, you talked about the base running blunder by Gibson on July 3rd. Day before that, Daniel Pinero makes a great base running play, extending a single into a double, and then gets himself thrown out in a rundown. They go on to win the game in the 10th inning. It just seems like there's no panic with this group. Even when something goes wrong, like we've talked about, next man up. And I'm interested to see how the All-Star break plays, because despite this stretch where, they've played something like 20 games in a row leading into the All-Star break, I don't know if they need a break. I don't know if they want a break, because this team is so hot. You almost wonder if those 3 days off are going to maybe reset in a sense. And I'm interested to see how they come out. I'm also interested to see how they finish these 4 final games in Altoona, and especially with 4 representatives going to Richmond, 2 in Casey Mize and Matt Manning. Manning will be in the Futures game. Mize is on the IL. There's just so much hype surrounding this team right now. I'll also be interested to see how they respond to that as the limelight continues to grow on a team that is off to a ridiculous start in the second half.
You bring up the limelight, and that's an interesting point because from the beginning of the season, whether it's in Detroit or in the national media when Casey Mize got to Erie, the spotlight's been on this team from the very beginning of the year. We knew that this was going to be the prospect team in the Tiger organization. We've had all the Tiger writers coming through it at one point or another, and these guys handle it so well. And it's more so than anybody I've ever seen in the past how these guys have handled things. And obviously the big three are going to get their fanfare, but the media wants to talk to Derek Hill. They want to talk to Jose Azocar. They want to talk to Isaac Paredes, Anthony Castro. They want to talk to him. I mean, it's just – it has been nonstop from the beginning of the attention for this club, and they've taken it in stride.
And the one thing I noticed with that clubhouse, too, is they're not jealous of that. The guys who aren't getting the attention are happy for the other ones. You know, every time we do an interview down there after a game, there's guys watching. They're not, making them try to mess up or anything. They want to watch and see them get their moment. So all those guys are really doing a great job just being happy for each other.
You bring that up, and one of the funnier things is the SeaWolves athletic trainer TJ Obergefell has the T-shirt jerseys that we've done of the different players, and they hang them up in the training room, and it's just the little wall of fame that they have fun with. And they have one of Cam Gibson in there. Now, we don't sell Cam Gibson T-shirt jerseys, so what they did was they made one out of an undershirt with tape on it, and Cam signed it and hung it up on the training room wall. And that's just the kind of mentality down there where there isn't jealousy. They get along well, and they have fun together, and I think that kind of epitomizes what this team has been about.
And even some of the guys who have struggled, I think, are starting to catch on to that. A guy like Chase Numata, who was a near 130 hitter at one point in the season, had gone on a 5-game hit streak leading into the game on Wednesday night. Luke Birch, who had a couple nights off between an 11-game hitting streak. It's a group with so much talent, and it's really interesting to see the type of personalities within this team. I mean, you have a lot of soft-spoken guys. You have your rah-rah guys. Cam Gibson is certainly one to always own the aux cord in the clubhouse. Ethan DeCastro was talking about on last week's pod just how inviting this whole group is. No matter if you're coming back down from Toledo like Daniel Pinero did, or if you're coming up from Lakeland like a couple of younger guys have multiple times this season, everyone is inviting, everyone is welcoming, everyone is seen as an equal. No matter if you're a first-round pick, of which they have 4, that is very rare, and that's something you don't see often, I think, in any clubhouse in minor league baseball.
Let's talk about the All-Star break, which is coming up in just a few days, and the SeaWolves well represented, not in just the Eastern League, but in the Major League Baseball All-Star Futures game. Isaac Paredes and Matt Manning headed to the Futures game. They'll be a part of the American League Club. They'll join Jake Rogers there, the former SeaWolves catcher, who a year ago on July 3rd launched the walk-off home run. And then 4 SeaWolves being named to the Eastern League All-Star team. Casey Mize obviously not participating because he is still on the injured list. Matt Manning cannot do both. He's going to go do the Futures game, which obviously is the better move for showcasing Tiger prospects. And then they replaced those two with Drew Carlton and with Alex Faedo. And I know we had talked before, Evan, about how we thought Faedo, probably a no-brainer all-star from the beginning. And it was just a numbers game. And I'd spoken with the Eastern League, and it was a problem of, well, you guys have just too many pitchers to pick. And so I'm very happy for those two that they got the nod. Absolutely.
I think, first with Faedo, there's only one other pitcher in the Eastern League that has struck out 10 or more batters in a start, and that is Debbie Garcia with the Trenton Thunder. Alex Faedo's done it 3 times. 12 strikeouts against Reading, 10 strikeouts against Reading, and he's also done it one more time this season. And he's a guy that kind of came on late. He had a really good month of June, but his overall numbers, I think, spoiled a little bit by a few bad starts. He gave up 7 runs against Binghamton on a day where the wind was gusting out towards center field. He gave up 4 home runs. He's had a couple of outlier starts in which he's given up 5 or 6. But if you look at the totality of his work, he has been just as good as anyone in the Eastern League, and he's given you a lot as a starter. As a third guy in the rotation, Alex Faedo has been as dominant as a lot of number ones on other teams. But like you said, because of the hype of Casey Mize and the production of Casey Mize along with Matt Manning, it's tough to have a third starter in there. And it's unfortunate because I think Drew Carlton on the other side is a guy that would have made it if not for the strong starting pitching. He's a perfect 8 for 8 in saves. He finally got his first win on Wednesday. But he is a guy that outside of really one bad outing against Binghamton has given up 2 earned runs and now I think 29 appearances. I mean, that's as good as anyone. But the difference is he's not as flashy as a Melvin Adon for Richmond. He's not as flashy as a Ben Bowden for Hartford. He doesn't have the 95 to 100 mile per hour fastball. He just goes about his business, and he's very quiet about it. He's not a guy that's going to glow up an interview. He's not a guy that's going to scream in the clubhouse or pump his fist when he strikes out a guy. He's just a guy that goes in there and produces. And if you look down his box scores and game logs, he has been just as good, if not the best closer in the Eastern League.
Yeah, and the thing with Drew Carlton is you don't really hear about relievers if they're not throwing 100 miles an hour in minor league baseball. And he just goes out there. He's going to make a lot of money someday as an eighth inning guy, a seventh inning guy in the big leagues, because he goes out there and throws strikes and gets guys out. So he's doing a great job. Like you said, Evan, it's very quiet, and no one really hears about him. But he's definitely been one of the most consistent pitchers they've had.
You think about it when you look at I'll use Evan's word, the totality of the season here for the Seawolves. I think one of the impressive things you have to point to is perhaps their two best relievers from start to finish have been Drew Carlton and Ethan DeCaster. DeCaster tops out at 90. Carlton might see a 91 every now and then. They just go out there and they get outs. And I think we get lost in the fact that, well, guy's got to throw hard. He's got to just pump 97 to 99 if they're coming out of the bullpen. There are a lot of pitchers who have made a lot of money in their careers that haven't thrown a ball above 95 miles an hour.
Well, and I think, you look at Ethan DeCaster, and we touched on his story last week in the podcast, a guy that has had a very mercurial rise through the minor league ranks in the sense that he was an 18th-round pick last year, was the first member of the 2018 draft class to get to AAA, and Drew Carlton had a similar path from the 2017 draft class, the first member of that group to make it to AA, and a 32nd-round pick from Florida State. Those are not the type of guys you see get that hype, but I think they're deserving, and it's unfortunate because they don't have, the stuff of the flamethrowers coming out of the bullpen. They don't have the ridiculous breaking balls, the splitters that fall off the table. They just go out there and get batters out, and I think it's a little lost on some people because they can't understand how it happens. They can't understand why they're able to put up zeros continuously over long periods of time. But the proof and numbers don't lie. Drew Carlton and Ethan DeCaster both are extremely good, and we've witnessed it all season long.
Well, you brought up the fact that he was the first guy to make it up to AA last year. He only made 5 appearances for Erie a season ago. No decisions, a 1.64 ERA. Gave up a lot of hits, 11 hits in 11 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. 2019, 27 appearances, 1-2, 1.58 ERA, 8 of 8 in save chances, 7 earned runs, 40 innings of work.
He has a 1.86 career ERA in the minor leagues, and he's thrown over 120 innings. I mean, there's nothing more that needs to be said.
Yeah. Very impressive, and so happy for him. As you mentioned, one of the quieter guys in that clubhouse. So he's a guy you don't hear a lot about. And I think a story that I will remember for the longest time and for the rest of my career is the fact that he came in and pitched the final 2 innings of a no-hitter, and he didn't know there was a no-hitter going until the final out when a fan yelled, and he turned around and looked at the scoreboard and said, "Oh my, there's a no-hitter going." That is just such a Drew Carlton moment right there, and just so happy for him that he's going to be able to experience what he deserves in going to that All-Star game.
And it's funny, too, because he's pitched with Alex Faedo in showcases in high school. They went at it as rivals in college, but he finishes it up for Alex Faedo. We may see that in the big leagues one day. Alex Faedo starting a game throwing 7 and him coming in for the final 2 innings. Those two have been connected forever now with this no-hitter, but it seems like they really have a lot of chemistry together, and we can see that in Detroit someday.
You bring up Alex Faedo in the big leagues, and one of the things that I was having a conversation with Alex yesterday about just different things about minor league baseball and how certain guys act and certain guys don't act. One of the things that Alex said that hit home, and it's so true, he goes, it might not be with the Tigers, it might not be with 25 other teams, but there is always a scout watching you on a daily basis in the seats, and you never know when that one scout is going to like your stuff enough to say, we need this guy, and he's going to pitch in the big leagues for us. And I think that's a testament to some of the guys on this roster right now. Is that's the mentality they have. They don't have the proverbial boo-boo lip when they have a bad game or things aren't going their way or they might not be getting as much playing time as you want. You brought up Luke Birch. Guy's on an 11-game hitting streak, and he sat the first 2 games of the Binghamton series. Now, he could have taken that in many different ways. But what did he do? He went out on July 3rd, extended the hit streak to 12 games. He might not play again the rest of the weekend. But that's the mentality of this clubhouse.
Well, and I think the prime example is one of the newcomers in Tim Adelman. I mean, he's a prime example of the journey that one can take to the big leagues. He was drafted back, I think, in 2010, released a couple of years into his tenure with the Baltimore Orioles, played 2 years of independent ball, picked up by the Reds because he could throw strikes, he could get outs, and he could stay healthy. Managed to work his way up to the big leagues in 2016 through the most innings of any Cincinnati Reds pitcher in 2017. And even after that, eventually released by the Reds, played indie ball again earlier this year with the Long Island Ducks in the Atlantic League, signed by the Tigers because he's a guy that is always going to be there and be dependable. As we saw up in Toledo, 7 starts, around a 3 ERA. He was very good for the Mud Hens, and he's doing the same thing with the Erie SeaWolves. So I think a lot of people have taken notes of guys like that, and it's great to have one on your staff.
Just one quick note about Alex Faedo. I remember when the first game, second half happened, Evan told him the second half had started, and he won that game. And he goes, well, all right, boys, 1-0. Let's win the second half. So if they win the second half, it's all because of Alex Faedo's prediction.
Yep, they were undefeated.
So I posed this question to you guys several weeks ago. Who's going to be the first SeaWolves pitcher to pitch in the big leagues this season? Is it Tim Adelman? Is it Alex Faedo? Is it Casey Mize? Is it Matt Manning? Who's it going to be? I mean, we already had Soto, so who's the next one?
Well, I honestly think the only one of those 4 that could do it is Adelman, and that may be a late season thing. I think they're still going to kind of pump the brakes on those other 3. I don't think Matt Manning's in Erie after this weekend. We'll see. Casey Mize, I think they're going to take a long time with, and then maybe a couple starts down here, then that'd be end of the season. Matt Manning, maybe Alex Faedo if they really want to see something in September. But I think Adelman's probably the biggest candidate out of those 4 to start in Detroit this year.
I agree. I think Tim Adelman's the guy, just based off the stuff that Tom said. You don't want to rush Casey Mize, especially coming back from injury. Alex Faedo, he'll get the call up to AAA sooner than I think people expect. Matt Manning, I don't expect to be here after the All-Star break or after his Futures game appearance, and Casey Mize will be soon behind them. But again, you don't want to start those guys' clocks. Tim Adelman has already pitched in the big leagues. He has experience, and I could see a situation where if they need a 5th or 6th guy in the rotation, he could get that spot.
Well, they always tell you never know when you're going to get your call to the big leagues. And one of the final things I want to touch on in this episode of the podcast is Tyler Alexander, guy who pitched a couple of years in Erie, was called up as the Tigers' 26th man for the doubleheader today in Chicago. And in his major league debut, goes out, throws 5 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. He's a guy, Tom, that you and I have talked about over the years and thought, you know what, with his stuff, it's good at times. He seemingly could get through a lineup one time with no issues. Maybe a bullpen is a long-term fix for him. But he made his major league debut and pitched pretty darn well. And very happy to see that for a guy like Tyler. Yeah,
and honestly, if you asked last year if he and Turnbull would make their starts within the next year, I would have said, I don't know. But Turnbull has pitched well. Tyler Alexander, talk about a guy who never says anything. You have to ask him to speak up a little bit. He's such a quiet guy, just goes about his business, is an expert at Minesweeper, we learned last year. And he, he's got good stuff. It's just, figuring out how to get through a lineup, like you said. So how long, maybe gets another chance after today, that'd be great to see. But we saw, when Turnbull went up and Soppel went up, sometimes the league figures them out a little bit, but maybe Alexander could make a few starts here.
All right, I think we've been talking long enough, boys. This has been a fun night here at UPMC Park. We just can't stop the talk. For once, we're not.
The party does not stop at UPMC Park.
The party does not stop. All right, folks. Well, the All-Star break comes up next week. We'll be sure to stay tuned to the SeaWolves social media channels to find out exactly how those guys have done in the Futures game and at the Eastern League All-Star game. And I think for all of us, we're really looking forward to a couple of days off.
Absolutely.
Trying to catch up on some sleep.
Yes, catching up on sleep would be clutch. For Evan Giddings and Tom Reisenweber, this has been the Roundtable discussion on Episode 9 of the SeaWolves City Podcast. Stick around. Coming up next, player interview time. can't wait to see who Evan brings to the table this week. So until then, All-Star break time. Let's get some rest.
As always, a big thank you to Greg and Tom for taking a little extra time after that conclusion to an amazing homestand to stick around and break it down as we now turn our attention to one of the focal points during the Wolves' hot start to not only the second half, but he was also one of the first half heroes and one of Erie's most consistent bats and gloves and arms. Jose really does it all, and so we were pleased to have him drop in for 20 minutes to discuss his journey, which began in Venezuela, and signing as a 16-year-old international free agent with the Tigers, then coming to play stateside in 2016, and now in his 5th season in the Detroit Tigers system. We discuss Jose's want to learn English and immerse himself in American culture, how he has really been the FUN-personified member of this group and cares more about the team than his own performance. We talk about how his love for the game was developed as a 5-year-old and how he still plays the game with that same passion. We get into his first interaction with childhood hero Miguel Cabrera and what differences he sees in American versus international ball players. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Here's Jose Azocar on episode 9 of the SeaWolves City Podcast. Welcome back into episode 9 of the SeaWolves City Podcast. Evan Giddings pleased to be joined now by Erie outfielder, none other than Jose Azocar. Thank you for coming on, Jose.
Thank you for inviting me to the interview.
Well, first of all, I want to ask, how do you have so much fun all the time? Like, when you're out there on the field, when you're off the field, it just seems like there's nothing that can ruin your day. How are you always having so much fun?
Because when you play with the heart, you have fun every single day because you have opportunity, like, do your best at the field, have a nice guy around you, like Derek Hill, Alex Faedo, Manning, and Latin guy like Castro, Alcantara, Paredes. You have a lot of guys, like, invite you, like, have fun every single day.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been having quite a bit of fun to begin the second half. You've been playing some good ball. Started out 13-2. 3 walk-off wins at home. I mean, how fun of a time has that been? It just seemed like you guys were clicking at the right time, and there was nothing that was standing in your way.
No, because we do the right job, We try to, when we have a runner on score position, bring home, have every single run that we can do. Like, sometimes we need to bunt, move the run into the second or third, and then the other guy do the other job, like bring home, and then we can win the games when we do the right job,
Mm-hmm. Well, the outfield specifically, I want to talk about you guys, yourself along with, you mentioned Derek Hill, Cam Gibson, Luke Birch in the outfield. You guys have been so much fun to watch, and the amount of ground that you cover in the outfield. Does it feel like every time a ball is hit that is going to stay in the yard that you guys have a chance to catch it?
Yeah, we think every single fly ball, we need to catch it because we're training, like, all the spring training and those programs, like, be the best outfield in every organization.
And the offense on the other side, it seems like you guys are really starting to click. Earlier in the year, kind of how you talked about the execution side of whether it be moving a guy over to third base with 1 out or getting a guy in from third with less than 2 outs. Those things have started to click for you guys. Where have you seen this offense grow the most from the first half now to the second half?
Because, like, selects the pitches, mm-hmm. and then we try to, like, put the ball in play because something happened, and then we, like, do, like, small things, mm-hmm. at the field for put, like, the runner in the score position and bring home. Like we win the games.
Mm-hmm. Chatting here with Jose Azocar on the SeaWolves City Podcast. And switching gears, I want to show some love to you because you were selected as an All-Star for the Eastern League. Yourself along with Paredes, Manning, Faedo, Carlton going to the All-Star game. This is your first time being selected as an All-Star as a pro. How did that feel when you got the news?
When I get that news, it's very, like, fun for me because I'm my first time I go to All-Star game. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, I can do one time make it the All-Star team in Big League 2, mm-hmm. because I have the tools to play a game. But that's very nice because that's my, Like, first time, I used to go and watch Michigan, but I don't get the opportunity. So this year is amazing. AA All-Star game, that was fine.
Heck yeah.
Really great.
Well, speaking of tools, you got a few, but I want to ask you if you could participate in one event, whether it be a throwing competition, a 100-yard meter dash, or a home run derby, which one would you like to participate in?
I don't know, maybe like throwing and home run derby because my VP is great. Like when I had to, or I want to like hit a bounce, I do all the time. Right center field, leg field, center, batter size.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we've seen a lot of, especially recently. Beginning of the year, we'd see you during batting practice, and you'd just be launching balls out of the park. And then when the game started, it seemed like you always were trying to hit it to right field. Do you feel like the power was a point of emphasis for you and something that you've developed this season?
Yeah, I developed this season because I already have 5 homers. I think that's my first year I get like over 280 and 5 homers. And I try to pull the ball this year too. I have a little more power, like hit the ball out the park. And then that's helped me because the baseball right now is not only like hit a base, extra bases most of the time.
So prior to this season, was your approach to just hit it to right, and then that has switched in the off season or something like that?
Yeah, my secret is like hit the ball middle to all the way because I want to hit like 300. But right now I'm trying to deep balls because I already hit 280. So I need to have like nice season because I'm my last year. I have 7 years with Detroit. That's my last year. And then maybe next year they give me a nice contract,
Yeah. Do you like to walk?
That's a hard question.
No, because I've seen you've done it more this year.
Yeah.
But especially the beginning of the season, I mean, because you can hit everything, and that's the thing. It's almost like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, but I don't really like have walks. Most of the time, I try to hit the ball.
Yep.
But I need to stay more focused at the home play and take it too many pitches around the sun. Then this helped me a lot because my average is getting like more. My percentage in bases more than too many things that I don't believe it, but I need to do it.
Do you think that it's helped a little now in AA that they're more consistently in the strike zone? The stuff is a little bit better. You are allowed to have more of a game plan at the plate. Do you think that that's helped you a little bit?
Yeah, because the strike zone is more like a small one, and they try to pitch around, but sometimes you recognize those pitches and then you take it and get a walk. Or sometimes those pitches that you hit too well, I swing it because it's not like a bad pitch for me because those pitches I still hit a ball to a gap or base hit.
No pitch is a bad pitch for you, right?
Yeah. No.
Chatting here with Jose Azocar on episode 9, and I mean, was that always the way that you were, just an aggressive hitter from the time that you were young until now?
Yeah, I'm aggressive 100%. But that's not like a big deal. Be aggressive all the time. Sometimes you need to shut it down and then be smart at the plate because sometimes you have like runner on the score position that they don't throw nothing like in the sun. Like chase pitches. And then you need to make an adjustment and try to hit the ball well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of you being younger, I read you started playing when you were 5 years old.
Yeah.
So baseball was always the career path for you.
Yeah, because in Venezuela, like, it's a big culture, Play baseball. When you jump, your dad or your mom bring you to a stadium every single day, and then you do some export. But I love play basketball, too.
Okay.
Yeah. When I jump, I do those export, but my dad, I have like tournament at the same month the same area and the same day. And my dad tell me, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Play baseball or play basketball? And I said, like, no, I go to basketball. My dad said, no, you don't have, future in basketball. You too short for play basketball.
Yeah.
You need to start playing baseball if you want. And so like, okay, I go to baseball. I ain't crying, but I still play baseball. So that's a nice decision.
When did you figure out then that, I'm good. Like, I am a good baseball player, and start to gain that confidence when you're younger that this could be my career?
I figured it out like when I have 11 years old, because I go to too many represent my state, and then we have a nice tournament and I hit him well there. I throw the ball hard, I pitching sometimes and run the bases. And everybody told my dad, you have a future in that guy, but he don't believe me because I'm be young, And then I used to play shortstop, make it too many nice play there, but I like to run. So I told my dad one day, no, I want to play outfield. When I be more old, then he tell me, you sure? And so yeah, because play center field, you run every single way, you catch the ball, throw everywhere. And then he say, okay, if you want to play outfield, okay, play. I can say no.
How much did your dad help you when you were younger, whether it be throwing batting practice or hitting you ground balls and fly balls?
Yeah, now, sometimes when I have a bad day, I call him in middle of the night and tell him, hey, you need to check my videos and see what happened, because I'm my best hitting coach. He's seen me all life, how I hit, how I don't hit. So he helped me a lot. He bring me with, I remember all the time when he bring me in the bicycle to the field every single afternoon after my class, and he throw me balls. And then we have 5 balls. Then I hit those 5, I keep it up and bring him back, and he keep throwing. When he buy me a Tamanaco bat, wood, I have 5, 6 years old. I break when I hit one ball. Then when I get home, I told my grandpa, hey, I break my first bat. And he said, what? Oh, I break my first bat. And he told me, how you be a strong guy. So then every time I have a ball in my home, I throw to a wall and catch a ground ball, fly balls, run everywhere. My dad and my grandpa tell me, you want to play? All the time we be at the road, he throw me a ball, I go get it like a dog, crazy dog, like that, all the time.
Did you ever swing with metal, or was it always wood?
No, metal.
Okay.
Metal, but, when we have 12 or 13 years old, you need to start batting practice with wood, because you go to ready to signing. And we be in the academy before we sign.
So you signed when you were 16 years old. What was that? I mean, because I remember when I was 16, I was trying to graduate high school. When you were 16 years old, what was that transition like, going from the academy to being a professional baseball player? I'm
very excited, but I play with the old guys like Carlos Zambrano, Francisco Rodriguez, el kid. Yeah. Too many old guys they throw a nice pitcher because they be in the big league, but we have short season, and then we play with the old guys, and then you start to learning, because that's a hard transition. You play normal baseball and you go pro baseball, that's a little hard, and then you need to make an adjustment a lot, yeah.
Jose Azocar is here with us, and I mean, you came over then stateside in 2015? So you were 19 years old. Was there a big culture shock coming from the Venezuelan Summer League to them playing, and it was still short season ball, but still coming over to play in Connecticut and having to make that transition?
It's not very hard, but the culture, understand some guys why they talk, and then you try to learn every single day when you go to the field. You want to talk to somebody. And that year we have a lot of Latin guys in the place in Connecticut with Ravelo.
Yep.
we have a lot of fun there, but I get sent down my second week because I don't hit it well. I have a 23 ABs, only 3 hits, so I need to send down because I don't do well there. Well, after that, I hit 330, I think, in GCL.
I saw that was something also last year, too, that you were going from West Michigan to Lakeland and then back to West Michigan, came up in the last half of the year. You really turned it on. You were hitting, above 300. Do you feel like it takes time for you to warm up a little bit?
Yeah, all my career, the last 2 months of the season, I hit him well. Because my dad checked every single numbers, and he told me all the time, like, July and August, I hit like 400. I make it too many adjustments. I be focused when I play those 2 months. But I need to figure it out, play like that the first month of the season and the last month of the season.
Well, I was going to say, because you start off hitting pretty well here. I was looking at in your first month, and it was something around 340. Why do you think you got off to such a hot start? Was there something different that you did during the off season?
No, there's not like a big difference, but I'm training in Lakeland a lot. My old season is in Lakeland and weighting program. Try to be more strong because that helped the baseball player a lot, because you play like 7 months, and you need to be healthy when you get 140 games. You don't play 140, but you maybe play like 130 games. You need to be healthy.
Well, something that I'm sure a lot of people are noticing, if they haven't already, is that your English is very good. When did you pick that up? How long did it take you to feel comfortable, speaking in something that was not your first language? Because
I'm be interested learn the idiom, because when I see too many guys in the big league, they can't talk, they have a translator, then I don't think it's really good for people at pro baseball, You need to learn the idiom and try to put it on the table. My first time when you told me I need to get an interview and be like, oh. And the cameras is around me and say like, okay, you need to have a skirt. You need to go there and talk like you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And in 2016, I tried to learn more because we are in the phone league in West Michigan, and I tried to like talk to one girl I like it, and then I try to learn a lot.
That's definitely going to push you.
Yeah. It pushed me a lot.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? I mean, the cameras love you, man. The lights are on you all the time. Speaking of Venezuelan baseball, the Tigers have had a lot of players come through. Obviously, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Magloire Ordonez. How much did you look up to some of those guys before you became a part of the Tigers organization?
That's a starter. Miggy is a starter in big league. He have a triple crown. I love that guy. He's a nice teammate. Sometimes when I get up to like spring training, big league spring training, you talk to that guy. He try to help you, trying to do those things like you don't do at the plate or maybe at the field. Not only like hitting, not only like fielding, throw the ball. It's outside too. He tried to be like a dad,
That's awesome. Were you starstruck when you first met him? I know he's a nice guy, and everyone has said that, but someone that has looked up to him for such a long time, I have to imagine the first conversation you had with him was pretty special to you.
Yeah, because we hit at the field, and he tell me, don't try to do first round, try to hit the ball like simple base hit. No, try to drive that ball to a middle to all the way. Because they put you in the right position all the time. And you never need to get one AB like you. That's important, You need to important every single time. Be aggressive at the home plate when you go there.
Chatting here with Jose Azocar, and having played now stateside for almost 5 years, What differences have you seen in the way that you play the game and how some American players play the game?
No, I don't have a big deal with that because they play ball hard too.
Mm-hmm.
They have fun, but sometimes they put the head down. You need to have fun if you hit the 4 for 4 or 0 for 4 because you have another opportunity tomorrow to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you dive in the outfield and make nice play with bases loaded, 2 outs. They help the team and we win the games. They only I hit 4 for 4 tonight, tomorrow 4 for 4, and then I have 5 RBIs in that game now. You need to make the job at the outfield, infield, catching, everywhere,
Mm-hmm. But how did you not get down on yourself when you were younger? Because the game is tough. The game will humble you, and there's a lot of chances to fail. How did you keep that mentality of always having your head held high with a smile on your face?
You don't need to understand the game because when you try to understand the game, you go to be crazy. You need to play the game. Try to do your best all the time when you go to a field. Have fun because maybe battle of the night, you go to a home plate, but you already have a 3 strikeout, and that AB you go boom, double to a guy. When we win the game, or homer, You try to stay focused all the time because every single AB you go to the home plate, you need to be focused and try to do your best all the time.
So just let the game come to you.
Yeah, don't go to a game because you go to be crazy all the time.
Awesome. Well, I saw that yesterday. So 2 days ago was American Independence Day, July 4th. July 5th, Independence Day in Venezuela.
Yep.
And I saw in 1811, Venezuela became the first Spanish colony in South America to declare independence. How were you able to, remember it? Do you think about it even when you're not back home?
I remember my home all the time because I grew up with nice guys and never be in trouble. Have fun. I love my country. They give me a lot of opportunity to be the person I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in my country they be out of that problem in maybe 1 year, and my country we be back nice. We have a lot of problems right now, but we try to get out that government, put some government
Improve.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What kind of things do you do if you were back home with your family and friends on Independence Day? What kind of things do you do? Are there festivals, celebrations, concerts? What kind of things do you do?
No, maybe celebration at home with your parents and family. That's not a big deal here, but we have some programs. Then we go to see the militaries go around, and they do march, and that's nice because they fly. I don't know what you say. And
the jets, the
yeah.
planes, yeah.
And then they walking around the Capitol. And they have a nice march in there. You have a lot of dress. They have a lot of dress, and we will live in our country,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you also getting this far with me. I just have a couple more questions for you, kind of some quick hitters, and I just want to see what comes off the top of your head. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first one I got for you is in a foot race. Let's say from home plate to second base. Who wins between Jose Azocar and Derek Hill?
Me. Me.
Loaded question. Is there anything that you will admit that Derek does better than you?
Oh, steal bases.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is the most memorable moment that you've had this season? What's the favorite play that you've made?
The walk-off hitter 4 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice moment because I told him you have another opportunity to win that game because he
0
got
for 4.
Yeah. and he put the head down. Then I told him, hey, don't put your head down. Go to the home plate and try to hit double dip and win the game. And he do it. Boom.
So your favorite moment is not for you. It's for your team.
Yeah.
All right. My next question. You guys got to ride the roller coaster, do the go-karts yesterday. Which one was your favorite?
Roller coaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Altoona, I don't even know what it's called. I heard it was a little rickety. Okay.
It's a little,
Keeps on your toes.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite American restaurant that you've been to?
Brazilian.
Oh, the steakhouse?
A steakhouse.
Fogo de Chao?
Yeah.
Oh.
That one.
I cannot blame you.
Yeah.
That place is delicious.
Yeah.
All right. I get. We already talked about this a little bit, but what's your favorite sport besides baseball?
Basketball.
Okay.
Yeah. I love play basketball. Like when I get home, I don't play it right now because I'm on pro baseball. But
of course,
sometimes I throw the ball.
Yeah, got to.
Yeah.
So who are some of your favorite players
in basketball?
Yeah.
LeBron James.
Okay.
Yeah. King James.
All right. Sometimes when I go in the clubhouse, after everyone kind of clears out, some of the American guys are gone, I hear the Latin tunes begin to start dropping. And I'm wondering, who are some of the artists that you listen to? Like, if you got the aux cord in the clubhouse and could play the songs that you wanted, what type of tunes would we hear?
El Alfa.
Okay.
He's a nice singer. I like his music,
Okay.
And Daddy Yankee, too.
Yankee. I like him. All right. Where is your hometown in Venezuela?
Huiria.
Yeah,
that's far. It's a oriental side.
Okay.
East. That's a nice city, but they drink a lot. They have a party every single day.
Have a good time.
Yeah. My mom sometimes don't want I go there.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of party.
All right. My question was going to be if I wanted to get, I guess this is almost impossible, but if I wanted to get the non-gringo experience, where do I need to go? What kind of things do I need to try?
Go to a Margarita. They have a nice beaches in there. They have nice malls. They have nice people. They have nice people there too.
People like you?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. All right, my next question. Would you rather make a game-saving play on defense or get the game-winning hit?
Say play for defense. Because that show everybody that you're ready for make that play. Sometimes I hate God give you a gift and you maybe hit a hit, but defense, no, it's pretty easy.
Doesn't lie.
No.
All right. If you could go anywhere in the world that you haven't been, where would you go?
Maybe England.
Okay.
I want to go there. I really want to go there.
Take the fiance to England?
Yeah.
Awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. Is there anything that draws you to that place?
Not really.
Okay.
But I want to see the country.
Yeah. Awesome.
They have a queen and king there.
That's a little different.
Yeah. It's not like normally in every country.
Yeah. There you go. All right, my final question for you, Jose. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
10. Oh, you don't believe me?
No, I do believe
okay.
you. And I would hope from the people listening to this podcast over the course of the interview that they would believe you too.
Yes,
Although
sir.
Derek said 11, so.
Derek said 11? No, he can't.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on the pod, being a great guest, and best of luck today.
Thank you so much.
So lots of thanks go out to Jose for taking the time to chat about many a thing and that I believe are indicative not only of the type of player that he is, but also the fun-loving, always happy and encouraging, team-first individual that he is away from the field. So we very much enjoyed him coming on, and hopefully may have him later on down the line. As for what is coming up next, be on the lookout for episode 10. That's right, we're already going into double digits here on the SeaWolves City Podcast, coming your way next week after the All-Star break when Erie returns for a 4-game series this upcoming weekend against the Altoona Curve, beginning on Thursday, July 11th, then going through the 17th as they play 7 games, 4 versus Altoona and 3 versus Akron. In the meantime, be sure to check out your SeaWolves on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and also you can go download, subscribe, rate, review, comment on the podcast. Apple Podcasts are available, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also Audio Boom. So any place that you have an app, a phone, a computer to listen to, we are likely there. And of course, be sure to go check out all the great things going down at UPMC Park this weekend. And if not then the next weekend. You can find everything you need to know on SeaWolves.com, and you can also listen to all 140 games on Fox Sports Radio AM 1330 The Fan, the TuneIn app, or watch live on MILB.TV. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you next time.